are so many different ways to win a game. And I've always talked about this in the realm of the analytics world. In analytics, there's a way to win a game. And as I've said on the show over and over again, that's a way to win. There's no question. Analytics is a way to win, and I don't in any way, shape, or form take away that possibility. But notice the word I used. It's a way. Mm-hmm. A. Sure. Not the. A way to win. Yesterday, the Steelers kicked 6 field goals, played great defense, got some help because Justin Tucker, who has been very much up and down this season for the first time in his career, missed a couple of field goals, and the Steelers won the game. They're now 8-2. And again, the ability to figure out a way to win a game. And again, they're not all the same. That's what makes sports so fun, so exciting, so edge of your seat, because you start out with a blank slate. It's kind of looking into your face every day.
That's right.
Like it's just blank.
49ers defense in the fourth quarter.
Oh, it's just, you're so cruel.
To their credit, they couldn't hold up because the offense didn't do a darn thing. But
right. But again, a way to win a game. Mm-hmm. You know, the Eagles have not played the greatest schedule, but it doesn't matter. They've been winning and they've done it different ways. I mean, they're not really. It's not really a formula as to how you win. You know, sometimes it can be. You got to have this. You got to have that. I understand that. Giveaway, takeaway, things like that. That become important. But every game is a personality unto itself. And yes, the personality of a Ravens-Steelers game is tough, hard-nosed, hard-hitting, all the way through. And but the Steeler game, just like the Atlanta game to open the season, where they kicked 6 field goals to win, guess what? There's all sorts of ways to do it. The Chargers needed to score all 34 points in last night's game to hang on to win. Okay. All right. The Steelers didn't have to score 34 points. In fact, didn't get a touchdown. One. As we've said many times, it takes 3 field goals to beat a touchdown. Well, they won because they gave up a touchdown. So, I don't know.
Yeah, defense obviously came up big again. I think that's the Steelers' defense has been incredible this year. Obviously got the stop on, and I'm always, you go back all the way to Pete Carroll, the USC-Texas game, not having Reggie Bush on the field. Always a firm believer, even if you're not using your best player and the biggest play of the game, have him on the field. Mm-hmm. Ravens didn't have Derrick Henry on the field in that 2-point conversion. I think in that spot, you got to have him on the field.
Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of things that come into play where you overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of watch that play, the 2-point play.
Yeah.
Kind of overthought it.
Definitely did, because you go back to when they called the timeout, I thought it was the same play, only you're going the opposite way. Yeah, that's why I really think they overthought it.
Yeah. So.
And best player meaning running back, obviously, for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's your franchise. I get that.
And the best player had the ball in his hands.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah. Once again, that's Jason Lord, who doesn't think Lamar Jackson's the best player on his own team.
Without him, they'd be in a world of trouble, that's for sure. Derrick Henry does help him,
I'm just saying that, again, that's Jason Lord, Lord. Send your notes, emails.
Steeler fans are applauding right now. They're not.
Then, before we get to Penn State, there's this story. Because of the lawsuit by Discovery Warner Brothers, or is it Warner Brothers Discovery,
Warner Brothers,
I guess.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they go first.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers Discovery, which is Turner Sports, TNT.
Right.
With the NBA, they're coming up with all sorts of parts of the settlement now. So essentially after this year, to allow them to gracefully exit the NBA,
Yep.
no longer have it. Oh, but wait, we're going to get Big 12 football games. And inside the NBA, which will be produced by TNT in Atlanta, will air on ESPN.
Yeah.
And ESPN will finally, for the first time in forever, have a legitimate studio show.
You are not wrong.
Man, how can you be the worldwide leader in sports and like
they've
no matter
shuffled so many people in and out? That's the biggest reason why they've not been you got to have stability at some point, I would hope. And the worst part of it all, the play-by-play team, NBA Finals, they've shifted it a little bit. You have the best play-by-play guy in the business, hands down, without question.
Mike Breen's incredible.
Add Doris Burke to the table. I think you have a phenomenal analyst.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that part has always been great. Even when it was Breen, Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson, I was fine with it.
Yep.
But yeah, they absolutely do not have a consistent studio host or panel at all. They just can't keep them. And part of that's their own doing.
They just can't keep them. They keep shoving them in and out because they know it's not working.
They know it's not working. Absolutely.
That's why it's a revolving door.
Absolutely.
Right? But that's part of the settlement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they at least get that now. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
And the sign of a good team, too, you add people to that team, and it doesn't affect it whatsoever. It just gets better. And that's what the inside the NBA has been able to do.
Well, they added Shaq.
Yeah, added Shaq.
The other three have been there the whole time.
Yeah, the other three have been there the whole time,
okay.
sure. But you add guys in the playoffs that are analysts, and it's fine.
That's fine.
They're still doing a great job.
Well, you ever see the making of that show?
No.
They did a documentary on the making of it when it got to its 25th anniversary or something like that. And, he started out, and Ernie was, didn't have a script, and he'd be on a teleprompter. Producer came in. Maybe he's the executive producer, whomever, says, hey, we need to talk for a second. He says, we need to shelve all this stuff. He says, you guys know what you're talking about. Just go out and talk. No script. That show is unscripted.
And it's phenomenal.
He says, no script. Just go out and talk. Just do your deal. He said, you want to scribble down a couple of topics you want to talk about and get to? Fine. He says, go ahead. You guys can talk about it among yourselves ahead of time. Hey, I'm going to go here, going to go here, going to go here, going to go there. Okay, great. That's what they do.
Yeah, and they're phenomenal at it.
Yeah.
It's literally... Ernie Johnson has never gotten the credit he deserves, I think.
Well, you know what, though?
Yeah.
Maybe publicly doesn't, but listen to the people who work with him.
Absolutely.
Kenny
no doubt
Smith.
About it. Yeah, no doubt.
Right? Shaq, and listen to Charles Barkley. Barkley says, I'm not doing the show if he's not out there.
And Ernie's amazing. Absolutely incredible. Obviously had the bout with lymphoma, too. And just been absolutely phenomenal. And Barkley is... As a dad, son's had a lot of trouble. Yeah. Loving person. Yeah, loving father. Loyal to his peers, too. No question. And you just talked about Barkley. He goes the other way as well.
But I'll speak to that for a second. All right. You aside, I'm loyal to... That was too easy. You have to admit, that was pretty easy. I've always felt very strongly that
same
loyalty to the direct people you work with is critical. Jack feels very much the same way. Dick feels very much the same way. You've always been kind of an issue. I mean, the show's done. I usually have to go and have surgery, have the knives removed from my back. It's but loyalty. I mean, no question. You go to the wall for the people you work with. Raj,
hands down.
Right. Bobby Taylor. Brian, you. You go to the wall for those people. And when you have a show where loyalty means something, then I think it shows on the broadcast. Girardi, everybody. We got Kyle, we got everybody.
Absolutely.
And there's a loyalty to it. Joe Putnam. And when you have that, I think it shows in the broadcast.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
100%.
Penn State now. I'm going to do basketball first, then I'll get to football, okay? Because they did sign 3, announced that 3 were signed yesterday. On paper, it looks like a phenomenal class. They went out and had 16 more steals against Virginia Tech. I mean, 16 steals. They forced Virginia Tech into 24 turnovers. St. Francis, where Ace went to high school, is 1.5 miles from the Baltimore Civic Center, which is where the game was played. He had 19 points, 10 assists. Zach Hicks, another big game for him. Played really well. Zach has played very, very well. And depth means something. And depth means something. On a day where Yannick Niederhauser didn't have it, Kachi Enze came off the bench and he had it. See, that's the depth. When you're building a team, and you have, not just skill, because Penn State, the reason the steals are threefold. Okay, 1, they've got speed. They got speed, and more speed. Okay, everybody can run. Everybody. 2, they've got length. Remember how last year Mike talked about getting bigger wings? Well, bigger wings bring with them what? Length.
Yep.
3, Mike's scheme. How he wants to play. A lot of NBA concepts in how he plays it. He has a lot of NBA concepts in there and how he plays it. And when you have depth, if you have no depth, you can press, but you have to back off because you've got to play the 40 minutes. But when you have depth, you don't have to back off as often because you can just run 5 more guys out there.
Right out there. Absolutely.
Go ahead. 5 more. Offensively, they played well again. They shot over 50% in the game. They won by 22. Now, Purdue-Fort Wayne comes in on Wednesday night. Bello's a good player, right? And Jackson is a good player. They're both very good players. Bello's averaging about 17, 18 a game. Jackson's averaging like 14, 15 a game. And they're good. They're veteran players. They've been around the block. They've been there. And I know they beat Southern Indiana. And their one loss is to the 3-1. Their one loss was to a Power 4 team, I think. But they can shoot the ball. They're a good 3-point shooting team, as a matter of fact. Good 3-point shooting team. And they, for them, they go on the road to a Power 4 team, Power 5 in basketball because of the Big East. And guess what? It's a Super Bowl for them. So, I know they beat, Bluffton, they beat Bethune-Cookman. And then, of course, they just beat Southern Indiana, and Jackson had a career-high 29 in that game, as a matter of fact.
Loss was to UCF.
Okay, yeah, Central Florida. So they did lose to a Power 5 team because UCF's Big 12. And I think that's their only road game, too. So that's what they have on Wednesday. Then they go to the tournament down in Daytona where they got Fordham and then either Clemson or San Francisco. But they're playing well. And it's an exciting team to watch because they turn teams over. They create offense off their defense so often. I mean, 24 turnovers in the game. I mean, I think Virginia Tech had 70 possessions in the game. You're telling me 1 out of every 3 possessions was a turnover? 1 out of every 3. And 16 were steals. They're averaging 15.3 steals per game through 4. Football now. Penn State was the prohibitive favorite and expected to win big. They did the expected. There's nothing wrong with doing the expected. And you just keep going. Drew Aller and Bo Perbula, between them, missed 5 passes all day. 3 of them were dropped. Okay. It's amazing. Drew is playing at such a high level.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure Penn State fans, a segment of Penn State fans, I'm talking about that 5% segment that's very opinionated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure they understand how well he's playing.
And you've seen it really all year where he gets in a rhythm, just gets into a groove. And
well,
he's
look at the first touchdown pass. The first touchdown pass, a back shoulder throw.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And it can't be placed any better.
No.
It's placed in a spot where only one of 2 things will happen. Either Tyler Warren will catch it for a touchdown or it's incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
And Warren he had 190 yards total in the game, 127 in the air, 63 on the ground, which is a career high. The way he utilizes the backs, so important. Katron Allen caught a touchdown, had another big play on a catch. We all know how he's used Singleton all year. Now, Harrison Wallace, quietly in every game, especially in the past month, has been putting up some catches and numbers. Now, they need to have, Jason, a second wideout step up to help out.
Too. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But a second wideout needs to step up in that group because Wallace has stepped up. You've got Warren.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Dinkins is reliable. We know Luke Reynolds is reliable.
Yep.
Wallace is. Now they need one other guy to be that balance guy out there to help out with Wallace. That would really make a big difference. The offensive line's playing really well.
Yeah.
They're playing really well. Running game, protection. Somebody said, Singleton only had 40 yards. Singleton had 7 carries in the game. How many yards you want him to get? 7 carries. I mean, come on. Like, he didn't play, they didn't have to play guys a lot. I mean, do you realize the largest amount of plays anybody played in that game for Penn State was 38? I'm talking about on defense. Like Carter and Sutton, I think both played. I think Carter played 38 plays. Sutton played 30. That's about it. And so they got work in, which was great. And the defense played extremely well.
Absolutely.
The touchdown was scored against the 2s and 3s. Now, there's a standard, and that he, without question, wants that standard to be met. But that's the kind of game where you sit back and go, you know what? Okay, they played a terrific first half. Okay. So you need to play a terrific second half. Well, they went out and did that too. Okay. Now you got to go to Minnesota. Minnesota had a bye week. Brosmer, the transfer from New Hampshire. Yeah, I remember when he transferred, I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see how this goes. I mean, you're going from New Hampshire to the Big Ten. He's played well. He can move. He can run a little bit. No question. And throws a good ball. The two running backs, Darius Taylor and Marcus Minor, very good. I think I said minus Marcus Major. Very, very good. And as receivers, keep in mind they utilize the backs in the passing game. Jackson at wide out is really good. All right. The transfer on the other side, Spencer 11, good player. Now you got Christian Driver, right, in that mix. Got Brockington, made a couple catches here a couple years ago. And then you got Gears, the tight end, who has stepped up, play well. Big offensive line, veteran offensive line. Defensively, they've got a guy at all three levels that I have a lot of respect for. Ja Joyner, 17 at defensive end. Have to do a good job on him. Cody Lindenberg, 45 at linebacker. He's their leading tackler with 76. He's a good. There's a good football player right there. And then Coy Parrish, the freshman. And to have a guy that was the Minnesota Player of the Year in high school choose to go to Minnesota, huge. Well, Parrish has 5 interceptions this year. They're now using him on punt returns and on kickoff returns because he's such a terrific athlete. You know? And so they've got a guy at all three levels that you have to account for. And, you know, I'm not Redding and WOWY and, you know, Henderson and guys like that. Look, I'm not discounting any of them, but I'm pointing out, like, three guys I think on that side of the ball, like, pretty good. They have not blown anybody out. They've won some close games, including the USC game, which was a terrific win for them. Right? And Penn State's going to have to really work in this game. They're going to have to work in this game, no question. Right? This is going to be one of those strap it on and go games because they're a physical team. You're going to have to, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to play a tough, the old saying, tough, hard-nosed physical football game. Yeah, you're going to have to do that. Right? They'll bring it, right? And they have the talent to bring it. But that should be a very good game. And for Penn State, a game they need.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, a game they need. Again, it's when this all started after the Ohio State game. I said in the post-game show, they're in a 4-game playoff to make the playoff. Well, they beat Washington. Then they were in a 3-game playoff to make the playoff. Well, they beat Purdue. They're now in a 2-game playoff to make the playoff. I mean, that's what these games happen to be. These are big stakes games for Penn State. And we saw over the weekend, for example, Tennessee fell into the 2-loss pool. We saw in the 2-loss pool, Georgia raise its profile dramatically by winning that game over Tennessee. BYU lost. And BYU now is Arizona State this week. BYU can ill afford to fall into the 2-loss pool. Right? And that's what makes this month so interesting about games being played every Saturday that have stakes, as opposed to in the last few years, for the most part, I felt the month of November was Coronation Month.
Right. Yeah, you're down. You're looking at 3 or 4 teams, essentially, or you're at most 8 or 9, at most.
I mean, that's what was so interesting about the way it was with 4. 4 initially was exciting because, like, hey, when Ohio State beat Alabama, when Oregon beat Florida State, right? Now also Ohio State beat Oregon, hey, and the ratings were off the charts. But as time went, when Ohio State over Alabama is your biggest upset, that doesn't give you the NCAA basketball tournament feeling. And as the season went, those who said that the regular season in college football had the most meaning were correct in saying that. But as time went, November started becoming coronation month, and you felt like the games in November did not have impact. And my argument always had been, there's no question that as the season goes, the regular season is so important. But I said, I'm telling you, November is going to be much different if you expand the playoff. Well, they expanded the playoff, and guess what? Every week, we're getting games that have impact. Tennessee, Georgia, game had impact. Even Missouri, South Carolina had impact. BYU, Kansas had impact. So that's what you're getting in this particular month. And that's something we haven't had before, which has made the sport so much more exciting. And I think that is... let's look at the games for this weekend, as a matter of fact. We'll skip by the 49ers for a moment. I'll save you crying on the air for later. I mean, it's just so sad. And when you start weeping, it's just bad. So we go Indiana, Ohio State. Here it is. For Indiana, it's statement time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Indiana wins. Wow.
Yeah.
They're going to go to the Big Ten championship game. Indiana keeps it close. They're putting themselves in the playoff. But what if Indiana gets blown out?
Yeah, because they don't have really a
What if?
Yeah. Michigan's their biggest win.
Okay. Wake Forest, Miami. Miami has one loss. Ole Miss, Florida. Suddenly Florida put together a performance against LSU.
Yeah. When you have a quarterback, suddenly things turn.
Yeah.
It's usually how it works.
You don't mind if we bypass UMass, Georgia, do you?
No, I think Georgia's got that one.
Or UTEP, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's Tennessee. They're going to be an angry Vols team. I think. Right. I think Tennessee's in great shape.
We already talked about Penn State, Minnesota. Games up there. That is not an untalented team.
No.
They're a good team. Okay. Colorado has to play at Kansas. Suddenly Kansas has won 3 games in a row. And then there's this one at Yankee Stadium. Army, Notre Dame. Army's undefeated. Let's face it, they would be the ones fighting with Boise State. In reality, to see who is that 5th conference champion. And that's intriguing. And Boise State, by the way, will play at night at Wyoming. Now, that should be a game. I know but the weather may not be great for that game. Let's just check the forecast for Laramie, since you are a guy like you always wants to put a little coin down left and right. Yeah. It's like every time I turn around, let's see. Laramie, Wyoming, USA. Right now it's 41 degrees, but snow expected later today. Oh, Saturday's nice. No, it's actually 53 degrees on Saturday. No, it's not bad at all. All the bad weather is tonight and tomorrow. Wow. That's great. Now, final weekend of the season, they have snow, but got a lot of it.
Oh, jeez.
But I don't know if they're home. I have no idea. In all likelihood, this is senior day. But, so Saturday's not bad. It's not going to snow either, so that's good. The bad weather's early in the week. But those are the games we have this week that have intrigue to them.
Yeah, the flip side, obviously, Army, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, it could somehow, some way get that second loss. For them, it flips in a lot of ways.
They get the second loss. I think they fall out of it.
I think so, too. Because they really don't have, and it's not, obviously, no fault of their own. They didn't know Florida State was going to be 1-10. Or 1-9,
they don't
whatever they are.
schedule that.
No, they don't. The ACC, that's true.
They don't schedule that.
They
schedule 7 games.
Mm-hmm. So that's a game. Obviously, Texas A&M I thought was a good win. That's a good
Texas A&M
win.
was a great win.
But other than that, yeah, they don't really have much. And they lose that second game.
They still have to play USC at the Coliseum.
Yep.
And USC scored some points with Maeva at quarterback. So we'll see. Again, they beat Nebraska. It was a tight game. How about Nebraska? 5-1 to start the season.
Yeah,
they're 5-5 now. Oregon held on, had to rally in the fourth quarter on the road to win. I did not see the game. Do not know. Did not see it. We were circling, burning fuel so we could land. Like, get rid of the fuel. Let's go. I'm getting sick of seeing Altoona and Williamsport from the air. But Oregon held on. Now they got a bye week this week. They'll get Washington next week. And Dan Lanning has never beaten Washington.
Nope.
Now, for Washington, they've had trouble playing on the road.
Yeah.
The game is in Eugene. Not an exhausting trip.
No.
Okay, but still it is a road game.
Still a road game, though.
Yeah, against a talented team. And what I thought was interesting watching Friday night, they started Will Rogers at quarterback. I was wondering if they were going to make the move. They did not. After the Penn State game, because Rogers, they benched him at the end of the first half. Now, Penn State's up 28-0. Or was it 28-3, 28-0, 23?
I want to say they were shutting him out at halftime. I think it was 28-0.
Yeah. Like, okay. But they, I thought maybe okay, they're going to make the move because they've been telling us, and talking to the Washington people, they were saying it over and over again, Williams is the future. Okay. Well, after the Penn State game, I thought, I wonder if they're just going to make the move now. Nope, Rogers played. When they beat UCLA Friday night 31-19. But Rogers played. He was the guy. All right, time now. Why am I doing this? Actually, when you're in pain, it is a more entertaining segment. Time now for 49 good San Francisco seconds.
Oh, that would be 49 better seconds than the offense yesterday. That's for sure. That's where the problem, I think, lies at the moment. Now, Kyle Shanahan's not throwing his fastball, play calling. I think that's part of it. And the other part of it is Brandon Ayuk's a bigger factor than people thought he was. Because I think they are missing him at wide receiver right now. Jennings has stepped up his game. The other guys have not.
You hate your team, don't you?
When they lose, it's tough. It is tough. It is tough. Painful.
Admit you hate these people.
It's painful.
You hate this team.
It's painful. Well, the best part, the worst part of it is pretty much everybody that is not a 49ers fan now does not like the 49ers, courtesy these last 3 or 4 years. Okay,
just so you know, you're speaking now to 99.2% of America.
That's true. That is very true. Well, very likable team is in first place in the NFC right now. I think that also plays a role in the Detroit Lions. I think a lot of people would love for the Lions to win. There's no doubt about it.
Yesterday, Goff threw 4 touchdowns. I know Jacksonville is struggling.
Yeah, Goff still.
Yeah. But he threw 4 yesterday. Yeah. I mean, they're playing well, and they're doing it without Aiden Hutchinson.
No, and they're playing great.
So.
Yep, they're playing great. There's no question. And, but, yeah, obviously, to me, and the 49ers doesn't get any easier. You go to Lambeau next week. You go to Buffalo the week after. You still have a game with that Lions team. You got to go to Arizona, a Cardinals team that now has a 2-game lead in the NFC West. They're not winning those 4 games. They may win 1 or 2. They're not winning all 4. Not with the way this team is playing in the second half. Not a chance. Not winning in Buffalo, I can tell you. They don't play well in Buffalo when they're 16-0 going into the game 14-2. They're definitely not going to play well this year.
I have 4 words for you. Cry me a river.
That's right. That's right.
That's you.
That's right. That's right. I think, I think you look at how the NFL has played out this year. That's been bizarre. It really has so far. I was making the point to you earlier. I think the NFC is strange in a way this year. The Lions were expected to do what they're doing, absolutely. Very unexpected with the team we just talked about, the 49ers. NFC South, everybody thought would be a battle. There's nobody distancing themselves at all. The Falcons did not look good yesterday.
Yeah.
NFC East looks abysmal aside from the Eagles. The Commanders, I think, are okay. I don't think they're 7-3 okay. I think they overachieved in a big way. So, it's going to be an interesting NFC, especially AFC. The teams that are supposed to win are winning games, absolutely. I think the Broncos are getting a lot better. I think the Chiefs are interesting. I did not think they were a 9-0 team going into that game yesterday. Had the strong feeling what happened was going to happen. But, you're seeing teams start to pick it up in the AFC for sure. I think Buffalo is another team America would love to see in a Super Bowl again. So it's going to be an interesting second half of the season, I think, when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah. Look, Mahomes is among the 5 most entertaining players in the NFL.
Yeah, no question.
But he makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, make quite a few of them.
Yeah, and what does he have, 11 interceptions now, 12?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a lot.
And he's got better players this year, too. I don't want to hear he doesn't have receivers. He's got a couple.
Yeah,
he's got a couple that are good.
Worthy's really good. Hopkins is good.
Yeah.
No question. I mean, losing Rice didn't help.
It didn't help, no.
Losing Pacheco.
Pacheco, I think, hurt worse because you don't have that running threat as much now.
I give Allen a lot of credit. Shakir continues to play very well. Cooper's added a lot, and he played hurt yesterday.
Yeah.
They've got enough of a running game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, with Cook in the backfield, especially when he's out there.
Yep.
They played yesterday without Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah.
But Dawson Knox play well. Their defense is playing very well.
They are. I think the biggest
Bedford's
thing.
good. Daquan Jones has had a really good year for them.
Absolutely.
The former, everybody forgets about Daquan Jones, who played here.
Yeah.
Right, they got Connor McGovern and Daquan Jones who both play for Buffalo. Connor's played really well this year, and Daquan Jones has played really well. I mean, I realize with, when you've got some edge rushers that can make some plays like they do, and Ed Oliver is playing at such a high level. I mean, Oliver's the last month has played really good football. Yep. But that win by Buffalo yesterday was a big win for them, no question. I predict Kansas City gets better this week. Who they have? Carolina. Okay.
Yeah. You're going to get a lot better.
Do it.
I think one team, though, that matches up well with them is the team they're going to see on Christmas Day. I think defensively the Steelers absolutely match up with what the Chiefs can bring.
Is this your admission you're going to get Netflix?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're not going to get Netflix. Oh, I forgot. You steal cable. I forgot that. Oh, yeah.
No,
I wasn't supposed to reveal that.
Did
anybody look? Too bad we can't open up phone lines here. Did anybody watch the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul thing the other night?
I think a good number of people watched it. But
do you waste your money on stuff like that? I don't get it.
I think probably half the audience that watched it already had Netflix and thought, okay, I might as well tune into it. So it wasn't entirely a waste of money on them.
Why do you do that?
No, and that's.
I mean,
especially
the one guy is Tyson.
58
is 58 years old.
58 years old. Yeah, and even when he was retiring from boxing, almost 20 years ago, he wasn't the Mike Tyson we grew up to when he was 21.
No, but I mean,
not even close.
I mean, I'm not putting down Mike Tyson, but he's 58.
That's exactly. 58.
So we're going out. You're going to pay money to watch a 58-year-old guy fight?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And obviously, Netflix
after Pacquiao Mayweather, this is boxing's second ever no-hitter.
This one was a little bit cheaper than Pacquiao Mayweather, but yeah, that is.
P.T. Barnum was right.
Yeah, that fight was that Pacquiao Mayweather fight. I want to say they charged $100 for that fight.
I did not watch a second of it. I did not pay for it. I had no desire to watch it.
No,
and then I heard afterward there was no action in that fight.
And that's not surprising because that's how Floyd Mayweather boxes. I won't even say fights. That's how Floyd Mayweather boxes.
He boxes, yeah.
But and
I'm not putting. That's his style.
That's his style. It's worked. He's undefeated.
Okay. In other words, part of the art of boxing is the ability to defend.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay? Slip punches, so I don't put down his style because that's part of the art of boxing. Sure. Now, on the entertainment side of it, geez, it's boring.
I had heard Netflix had a little bit of trouble with the streaming, too, which is something that they're going to have to keep an eye on.
That is not what they need to do with the National Football League in a month. They better have that straightened out. They better have that straightened out, obviously. And they've got, they have the Christmas Day games. They get, I believe, WWE Monday Night Raw goes to Netflix, too. So that's two fan bases you probably don't want to make upset. Wrestling is the most watched show on cable television. So you're going to have a lot of fans that are going to give it a whirl. And if you can't stream it correctly, that's going to be a problem. I'm not one of those fans. I'm not getting another streaming service. I already have two of them, and Which two do you have?
I have Peacock, which I just kept after the promotion with obviously with Xfinity, and Paramount comes with a subscription I have to something else, so I get that for free. That's it.
You get it for free because you're obviously pirating.
No, it is free with a subscription to or another Plus membership. So they give that to us. Whether it stays free, I don't know. If it doesn't stay free, I'll go down to one service. The only one I pay for is Peacock. I think that's even at a promotional rate.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Well, it's not.
Your ability to evade the long arm of the law.
It's legal.
Very, very impressive.
As long as I'm paying the person providing it, it's legal.
So do you go to the neighbor and just slip them a couple bucks? That's the person providing it.
I want to say a lot of them have cracked down.
Ooh,
Netflix has come to mind.
Netflix has announced that Beyonce will perform at halftime for the Ravens-Texans game on Christmas Day.
Well, there you go. They're right there. They better have a little bit of a streaming going on. I assumed they set the times for that the first game. I would bet. I would hope.
I don't know what.
So the Chiefs and Steelers are your big one.
I don't know what order they're playing in.
No, I don't either. But I would think the Chiefs and Steelers are going to be the one you want to.
Now
and they're getting lucky with that one, obviously now, because you're going to have an 8-2. Well, at that time, probably a 2-3 loss team against the 1-2 loss team. So you're going to be in good shape on that one. But you're also going to probably have a high amount of people. You're going to have a higher amount of people watching that than you are the Tyson fight, and a lot of people watch the Tyson fight. So that's where the streaming is going to have to come in, where Netflix is going to have to get it together.
Oh boy!
And that's again, you run the risk by being stream only on a lot of things.
No kidding.
You ran a heck of a risk there. You're running a heck of a risk Christmas Day if it doesn't work. Because those are two fan bases that are very, very, very passionate about their product.
This is what I have to debate. I do have to debate. And I think in the end, Netflix will win. Because I don't have Netflix.
I don't either.
I don't have Netflix. Nope. The only streaming service I have is Prime. But, you know, based on the number of packages that show up at my door that I didn't buy.
That sounds familiar.
Right. It's part of what we get. I don't have to pay for it. Because we're Prime members.
That's right.
Right. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm paying for it in a roundabout way. but it's not on my cable bill, but in a roundabout way I pay for it. But that's it. That's all I have. So, do I get Netflix to watch the 2 games on Christmas? Now, the way Christmas normally plays out for most people, I think, is a lot of running around on the 23rd.
Sure. Yep.
Right? Some running around the morning of Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Eve normally is like a relaxing, fun. Maybe open a present, whatever.
Yep.
A lot of people open their presents either Christmas Eve night or right at midnight or else in the morning or whatever. And then you get to the afternoon. You're like, kids are playing with toys, or you're trying to figure out whatever electronics they gave you or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
You're trying out your new motorcycle.
With or without a helmet.
With that 49ers helmet they gave you.
Oh,
yeah. And
that doesn't work for the final stretch, at least, then.
And the motorcycle in the fourth quarter of the day fades. But that's just to let everybody know. And so you get to later in the day, and you're like, all right, what's on TV? Right? People, because, especially these games are going to be later in the day. I think they're like 4:30, right?
I would think so.
Well, let's just look up the friggin' thing. Let's just see what we got here.
Yeah, I would think they'd be later. Obviously, you're going to compete with the NBA, but they usually put their biggest game at 5 o'clock. So my best guess is going to be...
the NBA usually does something like they'll put the Celtics on at noon or something like that, playing the Knicks, and everybody will be like, oh, goody, the Knicks are on.
So they're going to... Chiefs-Steelers is either going to be...
Hold on. Well,
the first game
I'm just going to get right
or the
to
last
it
game. It's not going to be the
Week 17.
Game. Yeah. It's going to be that.
Ooh. You are wrong.
It's not going to be the first game. Not the first game or the last game. So it's the middle game then.
No, it's on Christmas Day?
Yeah.
The Chiefs and Steelers is a 1 o'clock game.
That makes sense because you don't
I thought they were going to put them on like
the later game
at 4:30, 7:30.
7:30 would make more sense. I think the prime time would make more sense.
1 o'clock, I got to debate this.
1 o'clock is because I think, to me, they're worried enough about the NBA. The NBA puts that prime game.
Worried enough about the NBA? This is the National Football.
It is. They'll beat the crap out of the NBA if it was on TV. It's not on TV. That's the big difference there. That's where I think you, at least in the back of your mind, know the big NBA game is going to be.
You've got on Netflix Mahomes and the Chiefs a draw
1 o'clock
against the Steelers, who are a draw.
Yeah, no question.
With the idea if you can get people hooked into that, they'll watch Lamar and the Ravens. And Lamar's a draw against the Texans, who, even though they're very good, are not a draw.
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, and by the way, there's a Thursday night game. Seahawks and Bears. Ugh.
That the 26th?
Yeah.
Seahawks and Bears. Oh, boy.
What's the Monday night game that week?
That's the 30th. That's the Niners-Lions. The Monday night in terms of the 23rd.
Oh, you're going to get blown out on national TV.
They very well might. That's a home game, too.
I might watch that just to see you get embarrassed.
That might be an embarrassment. They might be getting the boo birds out by then.
Boo birds? Ugh. Come on, you get that genius calling plays. Right? I watch every game. They tell me every game he's a genius.
He might be a genius calling plays. He's not quite a genius when it comes to adjustments.
Look, you know what? I'll never forget. 40 years ago, I'm in the football office. There was a play up on the board, right? And Joe said, "Hey, Steve, come here a second. Let me show you something." So you want to know what makes this play work?
Personnel. Right?
He looks at me. He says, "I want to know the name of the person that's at
absolutely.
the O, and I want to know the name of the person at the X. As soon as I know the names associated with the X or the O," he says, "I can tell you whether that play has a chance of being successful."
You're right.
So it's so we can talk about play calling with Kyle Shanahan all we want. They need better execution. Well, I'm going to go to the press conference, and when it comes to execution, I've noticed a lot of people are in favor of mine.
Mine? Mine? I was going to say mine.
Mine. No. I can be self-deprecating. I mean, come on, you know. It's like, yeah, we all know that you're you're the hot shot. Everybody knows it. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Yeah, a lot of people like to pick on your team.
That's right.
Because of you.
That's right.
So, yeah, you're the big reason. Yeah. All right. A lot of fun today. By the way, basketball 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. Jordan Center run at 6:30. Football Saturday 3:30. We're on beginning at 2. And just to let everybody know that everybody's on board with the intensity of football season. That's a nice Phillies t-shirt.
That's right. That's what happens when you're